Okay, it's 5 o'clock. We're going to call the Energy, Environment, and Land Use Committee meeting to order. Is there courtesy of the floor?
Good evening. My name is Jessica Berger. I'm the Deputy Director of Administration and the Public Information Officer for Northampton County. I'm here this evening on behalf of County Executive Lamont McClure. I would like to read into the record a letter from the County Executive expressing his support for the inclusion of the Delaware Water Gap National Recreation Area in the Gateway Community Pilot Program under the Explore Act. This letter was mailed to the U.S. Secretary of the Interior on May 9th. Dear Secretary Burgum, I am writing to express my strong support for Warren County Resolution 114-25 resolution requesting support for Warren County and all Delaware Water Gap Recreation Area local communities as a gateway community pilot program under the Explore Act. I respectfully urge the U.S. Department of the Interior to ensure that all affected communities within the Delaware Water Gap National Recreation Area, including those in Northampton County, Pennsylvania, such as Upper Mount Bethel Township, Lower Mount Bethel Township, and Portland Borough, are included in the Gateway Community Pilot Program established under the Explore Act. These municipalities serve as critical gateways to federally managed public lands and are essential in supporting increasing numbers of visitors with local infrastructure, emergency response, and public safety services. With their proximity to high traffic on Interstate 80 and Pennsylvania State Route 611 corridor, they are uniquely positioned to benefit from the participation in this important program. Like many neighboring communities, we are experiencing mounting pressure from rising recreational use, including illegal parking, congestion, emergency incidents, and increased wildfire risk. These challenges place significant strain on both volunteer and professional first responders who operate across complex multi-jurisdictional boundaries involving Northampton, Monroe, Warren counties, as well as state and federal agencies. Participation in the Gateway Community Pilot Program would provide our communities with the resources and support necessary to improve recreational infrastructure, strengthening emergency response coordination, and to enhance wildfire preparedness, detection, and prevention. The program would also help foster regional collaboration and potentially unlock new state and federal funding opportunities. I believe that including our communities in this pilot program is essential to safeguarding public safety, preserving natural resources, and ensuring a sustainable recreational future for the Delaware Water Gap region. Thank you for your consideration of this important initiative, and please do not hesitate to contact my office should you require any additional information. Sincerely, Lamont G. McClure, County Executive, County of Northampton.
Thank you so much. Okay, next up is Brian Cope. I believe the agenda items are a little out of order, but they're all going to be presented by you, correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I'll just go through the presentation, and if any of the next three agenda items, we can have an answer after that. Let's see here. So I want to touch with our Livable Landscapes program. It's about a decade old now, and this year we'll be updating this. But in here are the recommendations that really fulfill our obligations to preserve, enhance, and conserve our natural spaces, our trails, our parks, and things like that. So back in 2013, Lehigh Valley Planning Commission put together really the first Trails Gap analysis to look at the top 10 gaps within the Lehigh Valley. We've been diligently working on the majority of these within Northampton County. We've closed out about 3 of them within our section and keep going a little bit further each year to close out more. The ones that we'll be talking tonight are really around the Stockertown, Plainfield Trailhead area, and also a new connection along the Two Rivers Trail, which is just down below this area, in between here and Easton, between Tatamy and Easton, but also co-aligns with the 9/11 National Memorial Trail. So this is Two Rivers Trail, Gap 9A. We've been working on this for a good amount of time now. The section in red is the full alignment. It's about 2 miles from Tatamy, or the Stockertown and Plainfield Trailhead right off of 191, which will make a full connection to the south end of Jacobsburg State Park. We've worked with Bushkill Township in the past to make this first connection from Filetown Road up to Henry Road, and Jacobsburg State Park staff will be putting in a small trail to connect to the Bolton Trailhead parking lot in the park itself. So this shows that first section, Henry Road to Filetown. This is 98% complete. We received $654,000 TASA grant and a DCNR grant for this and the southern portion. We've worked with Bushkill Township with a cooperative agreement that they build the trail with their staff and equipment, and then we reimburse them up to $100,000, something similar that is being proposed for Plainfield Township. It's a great effort. They take pride in building this, and it saved the county and taxpayers a lot of money, a lot of time and effort that we didn't have to go through some of the PennDOT requirements that added a lot of additional funds. So this section's pretty much done. We hope to have a grand opening on this, hopefully sometime this summer. This was them, a couple pictures of them building it, different phases throughout it. And that bottom right picture is one of the final pictures of what the trail looks like. It's a great little connection. Many of the neighbors are using it, including deer and other things that we found along the trail. This is what one of the agenda items is. So this is the Garrity easement. This was proposed and actually awarded back, I believe it was 2023. Miss Garrity provided an easement through this section of trail that kind of helped us get out of the PennDOT right-of-way. And there was another section that we purchased around that same time from Norfolk Southern. Pretty extensive price tag of about $225,000 for about a quarter acre of land. But it was one of those major trailheads that we needed to do at that time. So speed forward a couple of years later when we're finally really diving into the final permits and design. There's, here you go, this is a little bit better of an aerial that shows the full connection. The green towards the very left is where it'll connect to the Stockertown Trailhead existing area, and then it'll cross 191 Sullivan Trail into the Plainfield Township. But this gives you the idea of running it along 33 on the northbound lane. We're higher up in this area. On the other side, we're lower down. There's still very much different elevation and land between Route 33. We've been working with PennDOT on this. It was kind of a pilot project in the very beginning, which kind of took so long. They didn't have anything like this. We really wrote the book on it. But now this is something that they've been working on. So this is the easement that we would need to be changed as amended. Really, it's a couple, maybe 100 square feet is what we're looking at. It's the two yellow sections. The one on the straight right side is where an existing power line pole exists. So we can't really cut it and go right through that. So we look to move that out about 10 to 12 feet. And then on the bottom section, when we were going through some sort more of the stormwater sections, we'll actually be cutting out most of that bottom section along the Route 33 corridor from her property, not having that easement within that area, and making more of a little bit of a curve to get more grade for the trail itself, but we can contain all of our stormwater within those areas. So those are that's the proposed amendment for the Garrity easement. No additional dollars or anything like that. It's just actually a lesser amount of land that we would be requesting from her. So the Bauer property, this one is one of our newest acquisitions that we have as a proposal here. This is located in the borough of Stockertown. The Monocacy Creek is just off the screen here on the left-hand side. And then a Norfolk Southern rail line runs right through here that kind of cuts the property in half. So you can see regionally where this fits in. That yellow line is part of the Stockertown Trail that ends up to where we were going to be doing the Garrity easement and the connection up to Jacobsburg State Park, just south of Gulf Farm Preserve, and just a little bit about a hop, skip, and a jump from the Stockertown Park that is in the borough there. Along the Monocacy Creek there, we have frontage. We have acreage of farm, forest, a quarry. It's a great little property, but really it also adds an additional layer of a trail that we could possibly put in here. Here's a closer look. The yellow section up top is what will be retained as the homestead for the property where the existing house is. So that would be about an acre less than the overall property itself that will go through the subdivision process with the borough, and the rest of that property will be county, actually, as one of our park preserve areas. Long-term management and maintenance and development of this site would be extremely minimal. We'll try to keep the majority of ag or at least grassland within those areas, put a small parking lot at the top for trail users, buffer out around the quarry for a little bit more reforestation area and along the stream as well. The blue hatched area is more of a reforestation wet meadow mix that we would look to put in. Once again, some more of our larger scale wildlife habitat improvements with a recreation component into it. So that would be our plan for long-term management and development of the site. And here's some pictures of what the site looks like right now. You can see the quarry, the stream, the farm field. So that's my quick presentation for those. Do you have any other questions?
No, it's exciting.
It
It's
is.
going to look great.
It will, thank you.
Questions or anything? No? All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, discussion regarding a resolution declaring support for the Delaware Water Gap area inclusion as a gateway community pilot program under the Explore Act.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, Tara Mezzanotte. I am, for this context, Portland, Upper Mount Bethel, and Lower Mount Bethel's municipal liaison to NJDOT and PennDOT for the I-80 and 611 matters. The resolution that's going to be before council this evening comes under that purview because visitor use impacts from the Delaware Water Gap National Recreation Area overflow onto Interstate 80 and 611 in the Delaware Water Gap. So when we saw that this opportunity was here for our communities, it quickly became clear that I could take advantage of the forum that we've created because of the issues, primarily with NJDOT's I-80 projects, of community that has collaborated around the Delaware Water Gap to protect it. It seemed like we could put good use that community, that forum, to see if we could take advantage of the opportunity that's presented. So for tonight, I have no pretty pictures because I wouldn't even know how to create pretty pictures for this one. I'm just gonna, for the record, speak to the resolution directly. With me, I also have, when I'm before you guys or other bodies, I am quick to mention that although I'm an appointed liaison for these municipalities and others, I don't speak for them, but I have permission and authority to speak to their resolutions that they've passed about the matters that I bring before you. And Portland, Upper Mount Bethel, and Lower Mount Bethel have passed resolutions asking for the support that we're asking for tonight. In this case, I do have with me Lance Prater, who is, what are you now? Council President for Portland Borough. And I have David Freeman, who is Board of Supervisor for Upper Mount Bethel with us tonight also, who will say a few words. So I'm going to go right at the resolution points because they pretty succinctly explain why we're here. So in the Delaware Water Gap Delaware Water Gap area, we have federal units of the Delaware Water Gap National Recreation Area, the Appalachian National Scenic Trail, the Middle Delaware Wild and Scenic River, which is located in the boundaries of the Delaware Water Gap National Recreation Area. We hope to have the extension of the September 11th National Memorial Trail extend from Portland up through the Delaware Water Gap. There is a concept with that on paper now. So the fact that it's not in the Delaware Water Gap right now doesn't prohibit it from being mentioned in this effort because it is in the area in that it crosses over the Portland. It crosses over from Columbia into Portland right now where it ends. So that's another unit. We also have Cherry Valley National Wildlife Preserve is right up there as well. This also speaks to non-federal resources in the area, and we have the New Jersey's Worthington State Forest. Most people don't realize that when they climb Mount Tammany and they park in the Delaware Water Gap, they're not in the Delaware Water Gap National Recreation Area property, that is actually part of New Jersey's Worthington State Forest. That Dunfield Creek parking lot is really a New Jersey property, not federal property. So these are federal and non-federal recreational resources that we all enjoy in the Delaware Water Gap National Recreation Area, or I should say the Delaware Water Gap area. So certainly Northampton County has been part of the Delaware Water Gap National Recreation Area local community, long serving as one of the gateways to these trusted resources, offering services, hospitality, and tourism infrastructure that support park visitors and enhance their recreational experience. So in January of this year, the Explore Act was passed. That's H.R. 6492. It was signed into law on January 4th. It seeks in part to foster and encourage responsible recreation on federal and state recreational lands and waters, with an emphasis on enhancements to recreation areas, long-distance bike and hike trails, our September 11th National Memorial Trail, and high-volume non-federal public lands. Those are what I just mentioned. By mitigating negative visitor use impacts on infrastructure and local communities, and I'm just going to stop there for a moment, we are impacted. We have overflow. On the Jersey side, your residents are impacted when 6-Elevens close for various reasons, and they're trying to get through on the Jersey side, parking at Dunfield Creek for Mount Tammany and Kittatinny Point. They actually park on the shoulders of Interstate 80 and add to the safety issues there. So that's just, one Jersey side impact. The idea that our local fire and rescue services, our volunteers are volunteering primarily for their local community. Our homes, our businesses, our roads where there's crashes. But our fire and rescue services are first to go out on the river for river rescues. And those same people are the ones that are also called to go up on the Appalachian Trail or Mount Mincy Trail or Mount Tammany Trail. They're up on the mountain rescuing hikers and climbers, for that matter, the rock climbing that goes on in the gap. That pulls them away from the services of our local communities, for which, in large part, they're not compensated for. Now, they volunteer knowing this will happen, but it is what happens. So back to point number 3. So the emphasis is on by mitigating negative visitor use impacts on infrastructure and local communities by providing, and this is what this Explore Act says, providing financial or technical assistance to a gateway community under an existing program and to enter into a public-private partnership or cooperative agreement, memorandum of understanding, or similar agreement with a gateway community or business in a gateway community. We are considered, by definition, a gateway community to these resources. So as I had mentioned, these municipalities have passed resolutions asking for this support. This process began only in February because this act was passed in January. I got to commend Warren County Commissioner Director Jason Sarnosky. We had the discussion about this, and he said, I want to champion it. Warren County passed the resolution end of February. Immediately and simultaneously, our congressman, this is a federal act, this is a federal situation, our congressman was ready to send his letter, and he immediately sent his letter to the Department of Interior Secretary requesting that we can participate in this Gateway Community Pilot Program. Incidentally, the act says that no less than 10 Gateway Community Pilot Programs need to be identified within 12 months of enactment. So our feeling was, if there's going to be 10, we might as well do everything we can to see if maybe we can become one of them. So that's what this is. So since that time, I want to mention all the municipalities in the 3 counties that have passed resolutions, largely in April. And that would be Knowlton, Hardwick, Blairstown on the Jersey side. In Monroe County, it's starting at the top. It's Middle Smithfield Township, Smithfield Township, Stroud Township, Stroudsburg Borough, and as I had mentioned, the 3 Upper Mount Bethel, Lower Mount Bethel, and Portland. In addition, Monroe County commissioners sent a letter directly to the Department of Interior, similar to Executive McClure sent tonight, requesting inclusion as well. So both counties have also sent their letters, and I also come in today from Congressman McKenzie. I do want to read into the record a letter that he sent supporting this request. So it's dated today. Dear Secretary Burgum, please accept this correspondence as an indication of my support for including the local communities of the Delaware Water Gap area in the Explore Act Gateway Community Pilot Program. The Delaware Water Gap area, a geographic convergent point for 3 counties across 2 states, is uniquely positioned to benefit from inclusion in the program. Its distinctive characteristics and challenges also make it an ideal case study for developing a national standard to quantify visitor use impacts. This region is both complex and significantly impacted by the popularity and diversity of high-quality recreational opportunities. 3 provisions currently included within the Explore Act, which are important to the local communities in my district near the Delaware Water Gap, include the prohibition against acquiring land through condemnation or eminent domain, the requirement for local support as a condition for inclusion in the pilot program, and preserving and enhancing recreational rock climbing opportunities. Thank you for your consideration of including Delaware Water Gap area in the community pilot program in the Explore Act. Please feel free to contact me if you need any additional information. Sincerely, Ryan McKenzie, U.S. State Congress, 7th District of Pennsylvania. And he did catch on to something that I do want to feature. All the municipalities unanimously agree. No condemnation. You know, we are scarred by the experience of Tox Island, which created the Delaware Water Gap National Recreation Area through eminent domain. The last thing anybody up, especially at the more north we go, wants to hear about is that in any way this could lead to potentially building a firehouse near the Delaware Water Gap because they take some kind of property because of this program. So that is mentioned, and it is a provision of the act that local support is required. That is also something that is very important. This pilot program would not be put upon a municipality without their willingness to accept it. So just, and that the rock climbing community has also sent a letter supporting this and requesting support. In the packet that I provided for your record, it has the several pages of the Explore Act that does reference gateway communities and addressing park overcrowding. It's subtitle C. So I included that you guys should have that record. that gets into the specifics. There's not a lot of framework for what this would look like. I don't think anybody in federal government could say they knew what this would look like. You know, whichever gateway communities try to appeal to this pilot program, I don't think anybody could imagine our circumstances, 3 counties, 2 states, these kind of federal and local resources that could potentially, that are currently impacting us. You know, who could have imagined that? Which I guess Congressman McKenzie recognized in talking about the complexities. So what you're doing in this resolution is you are declaring support for inclusion of the Delaware Water Gap area in the Gateway Community Pilot Program, and you're encouraging your federal representatives to work with the Secretary of Interior, blah, 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 urging inclusion for the program. It kind of suggests that whoever is responsible for this thing should be reaching out to all the communities of these federal resources, making sure they all know this kind of thing is available. I can't imagine that that is going well right now with all that's going on with this transition period. So I'm pretty pleased that we have such support to try to jump this thing. So I think I'd like to ask, we'll ask Councilman Prater. You're always going to be mayor to me, I'm sorry. It kills me to say a few words.
That's right, I answered anything.
Good evening, Lance Prater, Portland, PA. A couple things I want to talk about. First is, I like to say, anytime I get to talk about unity, we're talking 2 states, 3 counties, municipal governments all coming together to do something good. And I always say you cannot spell community without the word unity. That's what this is all about. The other part I want to mention, which Tara did a great job, but I'm going to keep it really short, it doesn't cost anything. It costs a signature on a piece of paper. The other one is whatever happens in Monroe County actually affects Portland, Upper Mount Bethel. If there's a crash in Delaware Water Gap, we're the northern tier. We get hammered with traffic. We need to identify the solutions and then fix them, which the Explorer Act can do. Also, being a volunteer fireman, we go out on river calls. Doesn't matter if it's Monroe County, Northampton County, Philadelphia. We get called all over to go rescue. If 80 is backed up 611, we have no way of getting there. So we're actually putting lives in jeopardy by not being able to respond. That's all I have. Have a great night.
Thank you. Dave, Board of Supervisor for Upper Mount Bethel.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Dave Freeman, Upper Mount Bethel Township Supervisor. I can't probably add anything that Tara and Lance have already had, so I'll just point out a couple things of how this will affect Upper Mount Bethel Township. This program will provide a framework for issue identification and mitigation for 2 issues we have in Upper Mount Bethel Township. First is a point of gap in Upper Mount Bethel. If you're familiar with 611, you go up through 611, you see across the river. Well, we have what's called a point of gap there. You can actually pull off, look at the water gap, the Indian Head in the water gap. The problem is this is a popular tourist attraction. There is no pedestrian crosswalk for these areas. There's a parking lot on either side of the road. If you've ever been on Route 611 in the summertime, you know what the traffic can be like in that area. You're going to take your life in your hands crossing Route 611. Another thing is there's no restrooms there. Another thing is that there's garbage all over the place. It adds to the environmental impact of this, and volunteers collect that garbage. This program, I think, would help mitigate that problem. The other one is you may not be familiar with is National Park Road in Upper Mount Bethel Township. That's just north of the Portland. It's a road that shoots up off of Route 611 and goes up over the mountain. It's been closed for years for erosion issues. Now, this road could be a vital emergency venue, and also, if it is open, people will probably use it anyway because you know if something happens on Route 611, the first thing you do is turn on your GPS. and you're trying to get up to Stroudsburg to get on Route 80. But this also road would take you up to Slateford Farms and also Slateford Falls Trail up there, two nice areas I think people would want to use. But other than that, these two issues are the primary ones that it would affect Upper Mount Bethel Township, and this resolution would help mitigate and set a framework up to help alleviate these two problems that I just pointed out to you. I'm open to any questions if you have any.
So will there be a crosswalk across 611 due to this?
We would hope so. I mean, this is a safety issue for them. Like I said, if you've ever been on 611, you know. But like I said, there is no crosswalk, and there's a parking lot on either side of the road. The one on the side, you can view the water gap proper, the Indian Head. The other one, you can actually sit down and look at the river.
And then that emergency road, are they going to?
National
Make that
Park
access-
Road, yeah, that would be, if Route 611 is closed, that's one way to get up over the mountain, not over the mountain, through the mountain, and hit other roads in Upper Mount Bethel that'll take you up to Route 191, where everybody's trying to get up to Route 80 when something happens on 611.
I hope it all goes to fruition. I mean, those would be great things.
We hope so, but and as been pointed out, this is a community effort. You know, everybody, the slate belt is, I think, getting more and more popular. And with the issues we had on Route 611, you can see how traffic is a big issue up there. And even now, it's still one lane. It isn't two lanes. Yeah, the lights, we had problem with the lights. People weren't pulling up far enough, and they'd sit there, and the lights wouldn't change. So, okay, thank you for your time.
Thank
I'm
you.
sorry if there's any more questions.
No, I'm really happy for everyone, really. It's exciting. Thanks, Tara. I mean, you've done so much work.
Yeah, she's
so,
done a lot of
yeah.
work, yeah. And I think this will be good for the community, the slate belt, and everything else. Once again, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah, our Delaware Water Gap and our river unites us. You know, it's purple as it can be. Everybody nobody, it doesn't care. And if this kind of good can come out of it, well, and the good has already come out of it, you know, to once again be talking about the issues, to have this opportunity. You know, you have a new congressman, and there's a new congressman also up in Monroe County. You know, they don't know of the issues that we've been talking about for years with 611 and 80 and the Delaware Water Gap. So just having the opportunity to speak to this tonight here before committee, for it to be on the agenda tonight for council, and to give it this kind of attention, it's good work. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. That concludes our agenda items. I will adjourn.